Hi Flosstube, I'm Katie and this is my very special guest today for my 1-year anniversary on Flosstube. We've got a very special episode today featuring a fabulous giveaway, the giveaway winner from the last episode, and a very special guest. Meet my mom, Trisha. Say hi, Mom.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. And I want to thank everyone for watching Katie's Flosstube. You guys have been wonderful.
Oh, look, family moments already. This is a channel about my various adventures in stitching and crafting, if you haven't joined me here before. And today we will have a little bit of everything from my mother, my longtime inspiration, the person from whom I learned a lot of this, and we'll get to her in just a minute. But before that, I do have an update on the next Flosstube kit, which will launch for the next episode Tuesday, August 30th at 8:15 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and that's Seasons of the Heart Fall from Brenda Gervais. You can see I'm pretty close to done here, not quite. I've got fabulous threads.
Oh,
these are
beautiful.
some gorgeous fall colors, and then this is also going to be finished as spring was, with crystal golden shadow, and I will have beading kits available again, but those are going to be very limited in quantity. So if you want one, be sure to be on the spot, get on the mailing list, which I will link in the description below, and that'll be available on August 30th at 8:15 a.m. Pacific. So be there, should be fun.
The colors are beautiful.
Colors are beautiful. They are fabulous fall colors. So you guys submitted a lot of questions for my mom. Many of you wanted to hear about her projects and her stitching journey. So what we're going to start with today is her current whip, then we'll get into some of her finishes and a little bit of her sewing as well as her stitching. So let's see your current whip, Mom.
All right. We have Joyeuse Noël.
Peppermint Holly by Brenda Gervais. Ooh, that's really in the light there.
And here's my silks.
Fabulous silks.
I had a little advice picking them out by my favorite designer, Strand.
So the story behind this is that we went together to Needle in the Haystack, which was actually your first time at Needle in the Haystack, Mom. Tell us what you thought.
Oh, the place is a treasure trove. There's just so much to look at that you definitely need an hour. So
oh yeah,
it's
no
wonderful
kidding.
they give us that.
It was a fun trip. So we went out there for a mother-daughter trip to Needle in a Haystack and kitted up her current whip, something for her to show on Flosstube, which was inspired by my own stitch of Peppermint and Holly.
So you'll also notice that Katie's is finished. Mine is like
I stitched that last
staggering along.
December. Of course it's finished.
No, but even if we had started at the same time, hers would be done and mine wouldn't.
That's true. I am a faster
she's
stitcher. Mom likes to stitch in the evenings and sometimes kind of
slowly
falls asleep while she's stitching. But, you know, it's supposed to be fun. It doesn't have to be speedy, so that works. And let's see. What else do we have about that? I think that's due. Is there anything else you want to say about?
Oh, I thought
yes.
you would like to see my project bag. Katie has these fabulous project bags. I have a Britex shopping bag, which is what I use for my project bags.
You know what? It's totally functional, so it works. So, Mom's whip, Peppermint and Holly, I did, as we said, design the silk conversion for her. She's stitching with Soie d'Alger on Legacy Linen 30 count Swiss Cocoa. So I had showed her my linen Filbert.
I just thought was such a beautiful color. Look at that.
Yeah, so she had admired this and we decided Peppermint and Holly would be good to stitch on this, but a lower count because I'm a higher count stitcher, but Mom tends to go more for 30, 32. So she's on Swiss. her eyesight is terrible. So she's on Swiss Cocoa, and if you like Mom's Stitch, I'll be posting the conversion in the description today. I'll also be linking back to my own stitching so you can stitch either mother-daughter version of Peppermint and Holly. And with that, that's your current whip. I think that's the only one you've got going on right now, yeah?
What can I say?
We're both monogamous stitchers. It runs in the family, so that's good. And I thought from there, some of you wanted to see some of her favorite finishes, hear a little bit about her stitching journey. And so, Mom, tell us about this.
Well, this was the first thing. I had gone searching around online and had seen this, and it just moved my heart, that dear daughter of mine. I thought, oh, I have to make this. So I think this was actually my first cross stitch, because while I have stitched all my life, I think this was the first one I made. So there it is for my wonderful daughter. It just was wonderful. So sorry.
I love you too, Mom. So this is Dear Daughter of Mine by Blackbird Designs, which I showed you in my very first Flosstube stitch by my mom. And from there, she went on to her second sampler, which we'll show you now.
So, buoyed on by the first success, then I tried Brenda Gervais' wonderful sampler.
So this is the Birds of a Feather 3-part mystery
and
sampler.
I kind of used the same framing because I really liked that green linen-y framing for it. So
yeah, beautiful.
This was a big thing for me. I'd never made one before.
And these are kind of your colors too, the muted greens and like that shade of red. So yeah,
I think that's why I was drawn to it. And she's a wonderful designer.
She is. So Brenda Gervais is my mom's favorite cross-stitch designer, and mine too. Many of you asked about what we share in common in terms of stitching interests. And yeah, Brenda Gervais.
No, Katie Strachan is my favorite designer. Record straight up. Because I'm very proud of my wonderful daughter.
We're gonna have tears before the episode, I think. So this is Birds of a Feather, which was Mom's second sampler finish, although I think those are the only two that you've done.
Those are the only two I've done. I tend to do more kind of short, fast holiday things.
It's really nice to have a lot of finishes, I think. Yeah. So you may notice that we're jumping around a little bit here. The video has been edited together. We're filming in short little bursts just because, yeah, floss tubing is harder than it looks, and she's a natural, but she is a first timer. So in terms of Mom's stitching journey, you saw her two samplers, and then she got to the place where I am today. It really always was this cross stitch, which was more seasonal stitches, which I think is what you like most.
Yeah. I like to hang them around the house, help me celebrate the season. And so coming up to fall, this is one that I will be definitely hanging up that I made a few years ago, the bobbing for pumpkins.
Again, Brenda Gervais.
Brenda Gervais, of course. And I pretty much made it just as she showed it, I believe, except I used linen that I had in my closet. So I don't know what she had.
Yeah, well, pretty similar.
Yes, so we did this as, I did it over as 1/2, right?
Yes, you did. So it's finished as a hanging, and then you were going to tell me about your finishing.
Yeah. Which really didn't work too well because I hadn't planned that out too well. So then we had to add another little hanger, and then it hangs up pretty well. So next time around, I learned you have to put some interfacing in there and some
Bristol paper.
Yeah,
This is what you've taken. So just finished as a simple wall hanging, although that part didn't work. We moved to the center hanging, but this usually hangs in your kitchen during fall. It's got some lovely fall colors. You could actually stitch this with the fall conversion for Seasons with a Heart Fall, which is suitable for just about any fall stitch. They all seem to have the same nice luscious colors, right?
Fall colors.
So called for threads 1/2. I think this looks like a 32 count linen. And like me, my mom does all of her own finishing because we were both sewers first. So sewing machine's our friend, usually, except buttonholes, which we're both terrible at. True story. So let's show some of your other seasonal stitches.
Yes. Well, actually, since we're on fall, I also love Just Nan. What is the designer's name from Just Nan? Just Nan. Just Nan. I made a number of these because I think they're just wonderful. And they even have the little thing on the bottom.
So these
They're
are
little
the
houses.
Yeah, mice in a house. So this is the Halloween mouse in a house. I love the orchard with the ghost.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite side of this. And this she made and gave to me, so you'll see it behind me on the bookcases in fall episodes.
And of course, a Christmas tree. We both love Christmas ornaments. So then we had to do Just Nan's Christmas mouse in a house.
We both made this, so there are two of these. That's hers.
The
I've got
mouse
one
isn't in
too.
there right now, but we do have the mouse.
We'll find it.
And then she did a winter one, but this also goes on the Christmas tree.
Of course it does. Where else would it go?
I think these are wonderful.
That one's got good colors too, with the white and the blues
it's just so
on
beautiful.
the
And
gray.
little beads.
Yeah, always love beads on a finish.
Yeah, those are great.
So those are some of her small seasonal stitches. As you've seen, Mom started out big, like me. The whole like just jump in thing and attack it is this definitely where I get it from. Totally where I get it from. But then moved to small seasonal stitches, which is really, I think, what you've stayed with.
I think that's what I enjoy the most.
So a lot of people asked questions about your cross-stitch journey, and I think that's an accurate representation of it. Would you say that that's true?
Yeah.
Okay. And so we've covered how you got into cross stitch, which was hunting for patterns. And then, so we'll answer a few questions about her cross stitching interests and then show you some of her sewing, which is really quite exceptional. So some other people wanted to know, what crafts do you enjoy other than cross stitch?
I don't have an answer for that one.
Okay, she's lying. When I was a kid, she used to buy the Spirit of Christmas books. And
I forgot about those.
yeah, make
Totally.
all kinds of crafts out of them. Cut large pieces of wood out and paint them. All your fire screens that you got rid of.
This is true.
She cut all kinds of Santa faces out of wood and painted them for ornaments, and those you still have. And you've done a little bit of quilting over the years.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. For those of you who are quilters, very rudimentary quilting. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
So, like me, she's dabbled in most crafts over the years. I don't know, did Grandma ever teach you to knit? I did a little bit.
No, that's unfortunately that's one thing I never did.
So her mother-in-law, my father's mother, was an extraordinary knitter, and I learned a little basic knitting from her, but haven't picked up needles for a very long time.
I think we're more needle and thread people.
Very much needle and thread people. And then, are you self-taught?
Pretty much, yes. My mother was a stitcher, but she kind of just let me go, She'd let me dig around in her stuff and cut up scrap fabric. I used to make puppets as a child and doll clothes, so pretty much self-taught.
Yeah, sounds exactly like my own childhood. Some things never change.
You just gotta go for it.
Yeah, family philosophy apparently handed down through the generations.
Yeah.
Do, and if you fail, nothing happens. Try again. Okay, so in that sense, I guess we've already answered the question, how do our stitching interests overlap? Share the favorite cross-stitch designer, Brenda Gervais. Similar background in terms of being self-taught, exploring through stitching, and then what else would you say about how our stitching interests overlap?
I got nothing here.
Okay. All right. Okay, moving on. I guess in that sense, she hasn't really ventured into the surface embroidery that I like to do.
Yeah. Standing in amazement of the things my daughter creates. Yeah.
I love you too,
She's
Mom.
so far above my talent level. It's not even funny.
Okay, so in that sense, the question was asked, who inspires the other more? So I'm going to go first before you take this one, and that's that it does go both ways. I've kind of moved into a different space with Cabinet of Curiosities and surface embroidery and beading, but like all little girls growing up, I wanted to be just like my mom. And the reason I remember all of the Spirit of Christmas books so clearly is that when
it's fun.
no, because you would be making the grown-up, beautifully executed adult versions, and then I'd be running around with scissors and paper and acrylic paint, making the little kid version of whatever you were doing. And I always wanted to do the crafts just like my mom was doing them. So definitely I have been influenced by her a great deal, and I think you shaped my overall philosophy of stitching, of diving in, of not being afraid, of being adventurous.
It's probably a good thing in life too.
Oh, it is.
Not just stitching.
But that definitely came from you. You nurtured that in me, and
thank you.
took me to the craft store all the time.
That's true. I was
And
always happy to go on that outing.
the library for 1,000,001 how-to books, and so that's how you have shaped me. But what would you say to the question, who inspires the other more?
Well, right now you're inspirational, Katie, because you're doing so many creative things, and yeah, it keeps me going. So, yeah.
Okay, well, so then I guess that kind of feeds into the last question on cross stitch is, what do you think of my stitching and the evolution of my artistic and creative talents? I didn't write that question, I swear to God, that came from a viewer.
Well, I pretty much stand in awe of her talents. But one thing I noticed she's really exceptional about is color. You know, I'm always asking her questions about using color in projects and things, because she has a really good eye for it.
Yeah, I've been picking the paint colors in your house since I was like 10.
Oh, it's just
It's a
really
true story.
So trust her on color.
So my mom is a cross stitcher, but like me, she started out as a sewer. We have both made a lot of garments, although I've really kind of abdicated on that in recent years as I've moved more and more to embroidery really full-time in terms of crafts. But she still does a lot of sewing, and we wanted to also show you one of her special projects today. These are her French tweed jackets, which she's been doing a lot in recent years, and this is her most recent completed project. So, Mom, tell me about this jacket.
Well, I just like making jackets. I don't know why, but they're long projects and they get you involved, and the fabrics are so beautiful. So I got into this making the boucle jackets, and if you guys have never tried it, they're really fun. I used just a basic Vogue design pattern. There's a number of different views on here, but this one is made with this just basic. It's got princess seams in the front and the back that shape it, and when you wear them, they end up feeling kind of like a sweater. The fabric is really soft. One interesting thing about them is the lining is machine quilted to the boucle. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
So before you ever put the jacket together, you machine quilt the lining to the fabric. And what's interesting is after you do that, you don't even see it. Once you see you can see there are construction lines back here, but you don't see the quilting, which is interesting.
So what functionality would you say the quilting the lining to the jacket provides? Why is it done?
I'm not sure technically why it's done. Why? Because Chanel is the one who came up with this, but it it just melds the two together and it gives it structure because
It
there's
really
no
does.
interfacing in any of these jackets, which is really pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's just, so you can't see this, but I can feel it. There's just tweed and then there's the silk lining.
There's a tiny bit of silk chiffon binding that goes to keep the neckline from stretching in the front. But pretty amazing. I mean, most jackets are pretty heavily interfaced, and these aren't. So they feel like a sweater when you wear them. They're just wonderful.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's something fun I've gotten into doing.
And you learned to do this from?
Well, there are online classes. There are also, this is a wonderful book by Claire Schaefer, where she goes through all the steps of making them.
Yeah, we are both actually jacket people. I don't make the French jackets myself, but if you look in both of our closets,
Oh, I just like jackets.
it's all jackets. And have no other types of clothing.
Well, we live in a good climate.
We do
Very
live in a
good
climate where you
jackets,
need
too.
a lot of jackets. So this is a beautiful, beautiful tweed. It's got just a little bit of tarnished silver running through it. And so tell me about the tweed.
Tweed is from Linton Tweeds in England. They have a wonderful website. Linton is Linton. And they also sell, for those of you who are knitters, they sell the yarns too. So they have wonderful
And
things on their website.
What drew you to this particular tweed?
Well, this one is a little more muted. The other ones I've made have been a little more colorful, and I just thought I'd try something that was a little more monochromatic. And Katie helped me pick out the braid.
I did.
Who else would I go to?
So this is...
Yeah, so there's a ribbon underneath it.
Yeah, so this is Milner's or Petersham ribbon that's
From
then had...
Brightex.
Yes, that has then had the garniture from Access Commodities stitched on top. And then you hand stitched both the ribbon and the trim down, right?
The jacket is pretty much hand stitched.
Yes. So what makes you decide to start a new jacket? Because as we've discussed, you do have several already.
Yeah,
so
like I need more.
why do you...
I just like making them.
Okay. Is there anything specific that made you want to stitch this one?
Well, of course, was on Linton's website and saw this fabric and thought, okay, that's it.
Yeah, fair enough. And so what percentage of this jacket would you say is hand sewn versus machine sewing?
About 75% of it is hand. It's really the only thing you do by hand is the quilting and then the
By
construction. I'm sorry, by machine, the construction lines and the quilting.
So
Everything else
there's
is
a lot of detailing, which is what makes the
Pretty much.
jacket really special.
Mhm.
And then you also use a muslin toile to do the fitting, right, first?
Yeah, definitely.
So in couture sewing, you don't just work from the base pattern. You use the base pattern to construct a muslin
You
toile.
make a muslin pattern.
And then that you do the fitting on before you ever cut the better, more expensive fabric.
Yep. Or you might be very surprised.
And then I think we touched on this in our earlier discussion, but how did you learn to sew?
I guess just following my mother. My mother was a wonderful seamstress and sewed for pleasure and just, yeah. And also, I was in 4-H as a child too, because I grew up in the country and everyone was in 4-H. So I think that was it.
Was that part of 4-H stitching?
Sure.
Oh, I actually, I didn't grow up in rural Illinois, so I have no idea what 4-H is.
Yep.
So I hope you've enjoyed the look at my mom's French couture jackets. These have, it's a little, we might insert some photos so you can get a better look at the whole thing, because it's a little hard to hold this far enough back that you can actually get a good sense of this. But sewing, my mother's other great passion, along with cross stitch and stitching generally. So I hope you've enjoyed meeting my mom and getting a brief look at some of her projects, her finishing and her sewing interests, as well as her stitching interests. Like me, she's explored a lot of things during her life, and instilled that in me as well. But we'll finish up today with the giveaways. So I have the giveaway winner from the previous episode, and then a new giveaway to celebrate 1 year on Flosstube. I'm so thankful that you all join me, watch my Flosstube, subscribe, like, and comment. It's a wonderful community here, and I'm just really thankful for you all. So I have a little thank you to celebrate my 1 year on Flosstube. But first, I have the winner of the giveaway from the previous episode. This is the bead book. I am also, by the way, really glad you all enjoyed the look at my basket. That's a project really close to my heart. If you haven't seen the previous episode, we looked in on some of my cross stitch finishes, but also my beaded basket finish, which was a really special finish that I'm very proud of. So the winner of bead weaving florals is Gigi. I have commented on your comment. Please contact me and I will get this out to you in the mail. And then today's giveaway to celebrate 1 year on Flosstube is my beaded fob in beautiful blues and crystals. Really sparkly, really fun, great for scissors, project bag, whatever you want to bling up a little bit. And to enter the giveaway for this week, say FOB, F-O-B, in your comment, and good luck with that. So for next time, we have the launch of the Seasons of the Part fall kits. I will.
Colors.
They are beautiful colors, just luscious silks, and then also some new finishes that I have. I will have a finish on Seasons of the Heart Fall. I'm pretty close right now. I just have a couple of things to fill in, and then I can get to the actual finishing on that. I also have an incredibly exciting start that I can't wait to share with you. And then I will have the winner of the Flosstube Anniversary Fob, as well as some fabulous new giveaways. With that, happy stitching.